Welcome again. In this video we will create a first-person shooter character for a multiplayer game. This is just the second video in the series. In first video, you can find the link in the description below. We built this beautiful world you can see right here. Now we will set up our character for multiplayer functionality, and you'll be able to see the character in action in multiplayer mode. So this is the final result you can see right here on the screen. In this video we will cover character setup, animation retargeting, enhanced input for movement, motion matching for animations, setting up weapon, and much more. This is just the second video in the series where we will build a complete first-person multiplayer shooter game. So let's get started. Hey, welcome again. So now as you can see, this is the map we have created in last lecture, and now we'll add some shooter functionality into this one. So first of all, if I come right in here, you can see we have added these characters, this level prototyping, and also if I come down here, we have this third person. These are the things we have added in last lectures, and we don't need these things anymore because we needed a human reference. That's why we added it. So I'll just simply click and delete, and I'll delete this. So yes, I will delete, and I'll force delete this one. Now as you can see, this characters folder is still not deleted, but if I come right in here, there is nothing in here. Well, that's kind of problem. If I right click on this one and tell him update redirect to references, and then, well, that will fix the redirect to references. And now if I delete again, hopefully we can delete these folders one by one like this. And still, if there's that problem, you can right click and tell him update redirect to references, and then you can click and delete. Sometimes it needs the project to be restarted, so if you close and open it again, it will be deleted, or you can delete it again. But for now, I'll just leave it like this, and in future we'll delete it. So if you don't see these engine contents, or if you don't want to see this in the engine contents, for now I don't want to see this because we don't need that, you can simply come to settings and tell them show engine contents. No, we don't want them. So now you can see we don't have those contents. Now you can see everything is simple. We have maps in here, we have these things we have added in previous lectures. Now the first thing we want to use this character. So if you go to fub.com and search for this Paragon Twin Blast, you can find this. These are some cool characters that we can use in our games. So you can just add it to library like this. They're free, like permanently free, so anytime you can use them. So you can just add them to library. I've told you how you can do that in previous lecture. So when you add this to library, then you can come to Epic Games Launcher, and you can come down in here and add this to the project. So here, as you can see, I cannot find my project called Domain because this is only available for Unreal Engine 5.4, and we are using Unreal Engine 5.5. In future, it will be available, but for now it's not. So I'll tell him show all projects. Now you can see it's available. I'll select this one, and I'll tell him Unreal Engine 5.4. It would be all right. Now if I click add to project, and it will take a little time because it needs to be downloaded, and you can use that. So if you don't want to do these things, if you don't want to download all these projects one by one from fub.com, because we'll be adding a lot more animations and things in future as well. So if you don't want to do these things, and if you want to access all the code and files and things of this project, you can just simply come to our Patreon. You can see right here, link will be down in the description. You can come and become a member of this multiplayer first-person shooter game. Here I'll upload all the files, the complete project, except this map, because in this map I've used some of the assets that are not free. I'm sorry, I cannot share this map, but except this map I'll share everything with you. like the blueprints, like the characters. The characters I've added to my project, so you don't need to add them again or download them again. The animations we will talk about just in a moment, that would be in that project as well, so you don't need to repeat the same thing again and download animations and migrate them, create the project like that. So in here you can find everything we have used in this project except the map, the code, the blueprints, the animations, the characters, and everything. And this would be a great support to the series as well. So this video series needs a support. If I get a good support from the audience, I promise I'll create a complete first-person battle royale game which will have everything: shooting, weapons, multiplayer abilities, vehicles, helicopters, fighter jets, UI, sound effects, everything you need for a battle royale game. We'll talk about everything of that. So now this is added to the project. I'll come back to our project. If I come down here, now you can see we have this Pentagon Twin Blast. And if I come to characters, you can see we have heroes in here, and there are different types of heroes. Let's come to skins, and here we have different types of them. If I come and open this one, you can see this is a really high quality character, and you can find all of them. If you don't like that one, this might be a better one, this Halloween one. Now you can see this is a different character, and that looks great. But there is this thing, we've talked about this. We said we'll be creating a first-person shooter character, and mostly if you have seen, first-person shooter characters are only using this kind of arms. So like you can see right here, these are only arms, and mostly first-person shooter games which are not multiplayer, I mean like all of them, they're using these arms only, because the character body is not visible, so you don't need a character body to add a high quality character body like we have added already. So it's not necessary to do this, but we are making a multiplayer game. So multiplayer game is about like all other players can see you, so it's not only about the character itself. So that's why if you use only arms in a multiplayer game, then other characters will see only arms like this, and that would be like weird. We don't want something like that. We want other players to see high quality characters. That's why we're using that pack. And there's another thing, like some of the games use two meshes at the same times. For the player, like for the current player who's controlling the game, for him it's these arms only, and for other players it's the mesh, like the complete body. That's also a good idea, but in that case you need to set up two different meshes, animations, and things. It's not cool. So that's why we'll be using this one character for multiplayer purpose. So we'll set up this character in a way that is working good for the first person character as well, and for third person character as well. That's why we are using this character. And there is one more thing we need. If I come down right here to animations, you can see we have some cool animations for this character. Let's open some of them. You can see right here there are some other animations as well. There are some other animations as well. Like we have a lot of cool animations with this character, which is kind of good, but we will not be using mostly these animations, because these animations are specifically with these weapons, but we are using our own weapons as well. So that's why these animations are not perfect for the weapons we want to use, like a rifle, pistol, shotgun, and all that kind of weapons we are planning to use. So that's why we need some other animations as well for this character. And after a long search, I found some very cool animations in this Lyra project. This Lyra project is a free project in fub.com. You can just search for Lyra and you can find it, and they have some cool sound effects, these shooting effects, some weapons, some these skeletal meshes, and some cool animations. So we'll be using animations from here. You can just add it to your library, and then you can come back to your Epic Games and here search for Lyra. First you have to add it to the project, and then you need to create the project. It's necessary because you cannot add this Lyra to your own project like we added Twin Blast. This is a different thing. That's why you need to create the project. It's around 6 GBs, and then you can migrate the animations. But still, if you're a member of our Patreon, then you don't need to create this project. You can just download the project from the Patreon, and then you can migrate the animations the same way as I'll show you. So after creating the project, you can come and open this project. This project has a lot of cool features and things that you can use or learn from. So you need to come here to heroes and select the heroes folder, like this whole folder. This whole folder would be in our project as well, called characters. In the project you have downloaded, there in contents you can find characters, and you can migrate the whole characters, or you can migrate only the heroes from any project. So you can right click on this one and tell him to migrate. This will need to migrate some assets, like from our project this will migrate the correct assets, but from Lyra you need to disable this audio, because we don't need the audio. Only characters should be selected. We don't need these cameras. And then well, this character default, we don't need that one as well. We need this whole thing of heroes, so I'll leave that one. And this context effects, we don't need that one. And then you can come down, deselect these effects, we don't need those effects. Environment, we don't need environment. These gameplay, like input, we don't need. We don't need these as well. UI and weapons, we don't need any of that. We only need to select these heroes. So you select heroes and press OK, and then you need to come to the project, like our own project, and select this contents. So remember again, it has to be contents. You cannot migrate these assets to any other folder. So you have to select this contents, and then you will select folder, and it will take just a little bit of time, like some seconds maybe. So after migrating the assets, now we need to close this Lyra project. I don't want to save anything, and then we can come back to our own project. This is our project. If I come right in here, and if I come to characters, and if I come to heroes in here, and you can see we have this mannequin in here, and here we have animations, and you can see we have a lot of animations. There's this action, and if you open the action, there are a lot of cool animations. You can see right here they have this skeletal mesh as well. So there is this problem, like I'm not talking about this texture problem. The problem is these animations are specific for this static mesh, and these animations are not, like for now it's not working for this Paragon Twin Blast, but we want to use those animations for our own character, which is this Twin Blast. That's why we need to do something, and that is called Retarget Animations. So now we'll talk about retargeting the animations. If I come here to heroes, and here we have animations, and you can see we have these animations. If I come to all animations in action, you can see there are a lot of animations. Well, how we can retarget? What is retarget? Retarget in Unreal Engine is used to get the animation from one skeleton and apply those animations to another skeleton. This is important for us because the animations we have right here are for this skeleton we have right here. We're not using this skeleton, but we're using our own skeleton. So that's why we need to retarget the animation of this skeleton to our own. What's the good thing about these Lyra animations? They are made to be retargeted for other skeletons. So that's why they have this rigs. You can see right here. If I come to this rig in heroes, mannequin, and here we have this rig. If I come right in here, it's called IK mannequin. If I open this IK mannequin, you can see this is IK rig, and they have these IK retargeting tools which are right here, which called chain. So we need to create an IK retargeting for our own character as well. That way we can use a retargeter. So if I come down here and I'll come to skins, well, we don't need to come to skins, I'll come to meshes, and here we need to find the skeletal mesh. You can see right here, this is the skeleton mesh. We have all those skins you saw right here, all of them like these, all of them are using this same skeleton mesh. So if we retarget animation for this one skeleton mesh, then we can apply that to all of them. So that's why we'll use this one for now. So now we need to create IK retarget. So I'll come down here in these Twin Blast Paragon. I'll create it right here. I'll create a new folder, and then I'll call that IK, and I'll open this one, and I'll right click again. I'll come to animations, and in animations, if I come down here, we have this control rig, but down here we have retargeting, and we have IK retargeter and IK rig. First we need to create IK rig, and then we can use IK retargeter as well. So I'll select IK rig, and I'll give it a name like IK for Twin Blast, like this, and then I can open this one. So if I open this right here, you can see we don't have any skeleton mesh or something. We need to add a skeleton mesh right here. I'll right click on this one and search for twin blast. You can see this is the twin blast, and we have a lot of them, but if we use this one, it will work for all of them. So I'll select this one. Now you can see we have this one right here, and we need to create this IQ retargeting chains in here. So if I come, I'll close this one. We don't need this one anymore. We need these two. So I'll just bring this right here. Well, we just need to make them half screen. Now you can see we have both of them side by side. I'll just make this a little smaller, and we need to see this one as well. So the first thing is, you can see right here, retarget chain, retarget chain. Here we have nothing, and here we have all these things. So road is road, and this pelvis is retarget road. So I'll come here to pelvis and right click on this one, and I'll tell him to set retarget road. So this should be the same thing, and this is road. This is road right here. I'll right click on this one and tell him new retarget chain. And well, as you can see, chain name is road, so we'll give the same name as road. I'll tell him add chain. Now you can see we have road chain in here. It starts with road, ends with road, and the name is road as well. And then I can come down here, spine. We have all these in spine 1 to spine 5, but here we have these 3 only, spine 1 to spine 3. That's all right. I'll right click on this one and tell him new retarget chain, and that's called spine. That's all right. I'll give that name. And then we can come down. We have neck in here, these two, but we can see we don't have neck in there, and we need to find the head. So I'll come down here. We will have head. You can see we have neck right here. So I'll select these two necks and right click and tell him new retarget chain, and that's called neck, the same name, and that's great. Then we have head. Well, this is the head. I'll right click on this one and tell him this is head, like that. And then we have this clavicle. Well, we need to find the clavicle, so I'll go up again. Clavicle should be somewhere right here. You can see right here, clavicle R. They have clavicle left first. Here we have clavicle left. I'll right click on this one and tell him new retarget chain. That's called left arm, and in this case it's called left clavicle. So I'll change the name from left arm. This is clavicle, so I'll tell him left clavicle. The spelling should be correct. I'll add this chain as well. And then you can see we have this upper arm and lower arm. And then if I come down, this hand, all of them are in left arm. So I'll come here, upper arm, and then we have this lower arm till hand. Like, I'll select all of them, and then I'll add new retarget chain, and that's called left arm. I'll add this chain as well. We have this problem in here, so I'll just remove the left arm back, and you can see I'll select all of them except this one. This gears or something, I don't know what that is. So we need to select only these. Then I'll tell him new retarget chain, left arm, add chain, like that. And then we can come down. We have this index fingers in here, so that's called left index. And here we have this index left. I'll select all of them, and I'll add new retarget chain, left index. And then we have middle. I'll select this left middle, like that. So I'll just complete this whole thing, and then I'll be back because it'll take time, and this is the work repeating. So all you need is to do to find the same bones which are here in this skeletal mesh and apply the same chain and give the same name to the same chain, like that. So now it'll complete it. I'll be back. So now, as you can see, it is completed. I finally found all the bones in here. Some of them bones doesn't have anything. You don't need to worry about them. So all you need is to find the same bones which has these retarget chains in here and apply them to here as well. Some of them has this problem like this twist. We don't have twist in there, so you have to ignore that twist bones in legs. And then, well, this is how I did it. So if you want to check it, this is here, and this is right here. This is for the right hand, and if I come down, you can see this is for the neck and head. And if I come down here, this is for the legs. So if you're a member of Patreon, you can download this project and check it on yourself. And this is how it looks like in right here. Now I'll come back and then I can save this whole thing, and I can close this anymore, and I'll close this one as well, and I'll come back right here, and in IK this time I'll create a new animation and I'll tell him to IK retargeter. I'll call this IKR, means like IK retargeter for twin blast, like that. And then I'll open this one. Now you can see this can be right here, and it needs source, like from where you want to copy the animations. I'll tell him to IK mannequin. Well, this is the one you can see right here in characters, heroes, mannequin, rig. That's the one exactly. And target IK rig asset, where do you want this? So our target is IK twin blast, like that. Now you can see both of these characters are at the same place, like that. We can come right here and add a little bit of offset like this to bring it a little this side, so that we would be side by side. Now if I come here to chain mapping, you can see chain mapping road like this is the target chain and this is the source chain, and as the names were same, that's why they are correctly set, like road for roads, spine for spine, left clavicle for left clavicle, left arm for left arm, like that. The whole thing is correct. Now if I come to asset browser, and here if you want to apply an animation, you can see right here these are the animations. Well, these are not the correct animations. I'll apply this pistol animation. Now you can see that is not too bad actually. See if I come here and stop this at some place and check if everything goes all right or not. First of all, you can see these weapons. These are the problems, like these weapons are attached to this twin blast skeletal. We will talk about that, how we can hide these weapons, but for now you need to ignore them. And now you can see almost we don't have a big problem, but still there is a problem. Like you can see these hands are placed right here, and the hands of the character is not placed correctly. If I just remove this offset and bring it like together, now you can see we can understand that better. There is this really huge problem. So to fix this huge problem, we need to come back to this IK twin blast, and we need to open this one, and for that we have this silver stack. So silver stack is used for fixing this kind of problems. So if I come right here, and we can add any of these things. So now if I come here, we need to add a silver, and we need to select this full body IK. Now if I select this one, I'll just bring this a little this side so that we can see everything correctly. Now you can see it says missing road bone. Well, this is the road bone. I'll right click on this one and tell him set road bone and skeletal silver, like that. Now it says missing goals. We need to apply goals to this, and applying the goals, we need to apply these goals to the places which were missing. So I'll just apply them, like you can see IK goals in here, or we can come right here and find them. Like the hands were missing, so I'll come here and find this hand right here, and I'll right click on this one and I'll tell him new IK goal, and says assign goal hand left goal to retarget chain left arm. I'll tell him yes, assign the goal, and we also need to assign a goal to the right hand. I'll come down, and this is our right hand in here. I'll just select this one and I'll right click and tell him new IK goal, and that's we'll assign the goal. Now you can see these yellow boxes in here. These are used to control them. So if I save this one and I'll come back right in here, now you can see I can simply control them. So if I select this one and blend to source, I'll make this one to 1, and I'll tell him this one also blend to source like 1. But still, if it is not fixed, you can just work on it and move it a little bit around using the static offset. Like you can just bring it this one a little this side, and you can just come right here and select this one as well and add a little bit like this. So now you can work on it and it will be all right. So I'll just make this one 1. Now if I play the animation, now you can see it seems much better. Specifically for this animation, you can see right here, like it is still not placed well. you can see this bone is a little bit still misplaced. You can add a little more of these things, but for now I think it's all right. In future we'll see if there is still any problem, we can fix them. Add a little bit of local rotation as well to the hand, like this and like this and like this. I'll select this one as well, and I'll see if there is anything we need to correct. I think we need to rotate this one a little bit as well, like this and like this, like this. Okay, so after you're satisfied with what you see, then you can come back to asset settings, and then I'll tell him to add a little bit of this offset to the meshes so that we can see them side by side. Now you can see that's much better. I'll select a different animation in here. I'll search this Spatial idle. I'll select the idle animation. That's much better. And now you can see the character is a little bit of down, like it's into the ground. And the other things are actually alright. You can work on this. The pistol would be right in here, and that's correct. Well, everything looks fine. Now when you're happy with the animations, like if you're happy with any one animation, you can just tell him to export selected animations like this, and just select any place you want to export. Like in this case, I'll come here to characters. I'll create a new folder in here, and I'll call this animations like this, and then I'll open this one, and then I can just export it there. Or if you're happy with multiple animations, like in this case, let's say we are happy with all the pistol animations, or I'll come here and find the rifle animations, all of them. First I'll check them, and then I can work on that. So I'll tell him to idle animation. Now I'll find this rifle idle, and I'll select that one, and then first of all I'll just bring this back to the center so that we can see everything is placed correctly. And then when I'm happy with the animations, like in this case I am, because these animations look good, and then I can export them. So I'll select all the rifle animations for now. In future we can do this for others as well. Then I'll right click on this and tell him, even you can just select these as well. These are animation montage, but we'll be creating our own animation montage, so it's fine. I'll select all of them by selecting first one, and then coming down and shift pressing on last one, it will select all of them like this. And then I can tell him export selected animations. I'll come right here. Here we have created this folder, and in here I'll create another one. I'll call this rifle. So these are rifle animations. And there we go. If you want to add a prefix or suffix, you can add it right in here. And well, in my case I think it's fine, so I'll just tell him to export like this. And if there's any animations you want to override them or not, but it's not, we know there's no animation, so I'll just export them like this. It will take a little bit of time, like less than a minute, and then you will have all the animations for the other character as well, like for our own character, which is kind of great. You can see all of these animations are here. You can just press Ctrl plus Shift plus S to save them all, and then if you open, you can see we have these cool animations for them, and then you can play any one of that. And then when you're happy with that, that's great. So there's this cool thing you can see right here. These animations has these notifiers as well. We'll be using these notifiers a lot. These are very important notifiers, so we'll talk about this, but that's the good thing, they have already like these animations. And the other problem is like these weapons are still visible. We'll talk about how we can hide these weapons. So now I'll just close this one, I'll close this one as well, I'll close this one as well, I'll close this one as well. Now we are back in our map. So the next thing we want to do is to create a blueprint class. I'll come to content browser, and I'll come right here. Well, you can see we have a lot of folders. I'll come to contents, and I'll right click in here. I'll create a new folder. I'll call this blueprints, like this. You can see blueprints are here, and you can see we have a lot of other things in here as well. To make our folders come to top, I'll just add this underscore at the beginning of the names of those folders which we're using a lot, like in this case blueprints. Then I'll come to blueprints, I'll create another folder, I'll call this characters. We'll have a lot of characters, so that's why I'll call this characters. And then I'll create another folder, I'll call this base character. If you know about inheritance in C++ or programming at all, inheriting something that you write a code in base class, and then if you create a child class of that class, it will inherit all the code from parent class, and you can add some extra code as well. So it's inheriting. That's why we'll create a base class, and in future if you're creating a different types of classes, we can inherit those classes from this base class, so they will have all the functionality like moving, shooting and things, and we can add some extra features as well. So that's why I'll create this parent class. And if I come here to blueprints, I'll right click and create a new blueprint, and I'll select character in here. So you can see Unreal Engine has a lot of classes: actor, pawn, character, and player, controller, and many more things. And if you come to all classes, there are even more classes in here. So what's cool in here, this is actor class, and as you can see, actor class is an object that can be placed in or spawned in the world. Like if you want to add something to the world, like to the map, that should be derived from actor class, and pawn class can be possessed. Possessed means control. If you want to control something, like in this case, these houses and these trees and these things, these are the things that only we need to add them to the world, but we don't want to control them. So that's why these should be actors. If you want to something like vehicles, helicopters, something like that, those are the things that can be added to the world, and also we need to control them, like to drive a car or something like that. That's why that should be derived from pawn class. And character class is something that is a type of pawn class. So this is derived from pawn class. It means it has all the features of pawn class. And actor class means can be added to the world, can be controlled, but it includes the ability to walk around. And this is exactly our character, what we want for a character. Our character should have the ability to walk around. So I'll just select this one, and then I'll call this BP. BP shorts for blueprint. So if I add BP at the beginning to the names that I can understand, these are the blueprint class, and then I'll call him base character. So this is the blueprint of our base character, and then I can open this base character. I'll bring this right here. Every time I open a new window, you can see it is opening like this. We don't want that. We want this like every time we open a window, that should come right in here. So to fix this problem, you can come here to edit, and here we have this editor preferences. And in editor preferences, you can come right here. It says asset editor open location. It's default, but we will tell them to main window. Now after this, if I open anything, it will come right in here to the main window. Now you can see this is the blueprint class, and blueprint class, this is the viewport, like anything mesh or something we add in here that would be visible right in here. We have event crop that's used for writing these blueprint scripting, and we have construction script. We'll not talk about that for now. I'll come back to viewport, and then we have this skeletal mesh. We can select skeletal mesh for this thing. I'll come here and tell him we want to select our own skeletal mesh of this twin blast. So I'll just select the twin blast in here. Now you can see this is not placed in the correct place. I'll just bring this one down. So I'll tell him we want to see this from right angle, and then I'll just bring this a little down, and then I can bring it a little more down. So this should be on the ground like this. And if I come here, you can see this should be facing this arrow, like that's the forward direction in Unreal Engine. That's why I need to rotate this character. I'll just rotate this character 90 degrees and Z, but as you can see it's facing that side, so it means we need to rotate this minus 90 degrees like this. Now it's facing the arrow, and that's the forward direction in Unreal Engine 5. So now we have this character and everything's all right. I'll come back to main map, and we can add that to the world. So now if I come here and I'll drag and drop this to the world, and I can rotate this a little bit like this, and you can see we have this character class in here. But the problem till now is we don't have anything. Like we can play the game, but we are not controlling. We have some problem in here. I'll just open this thing. Well, I think this is something from the Lyra we migrated. Yes, exactly. And well, you can see there are some errors in this. Well, we are not using this thing, so I'll just remove all the things which has those errors. Now you can see the errors are gone. I'll just close this one back, and now if I come and play this time, and look at this. This is our world, and this looks kind of great. Like you can see right here, the houses and things, but we're not controlling the character. You can see right here, that's the problem. You want to control the character. So what are we controlling? If I press F8 to come out and see, we're controlling this pawn, and this is called default pawn. It is added by Unreal Engine by default. So if you're not possessing anything, then Unreal Engine will give you this default pawn. But we want to possess this character. So possessing the character, we said character is a pawn class, and it means that like it has all the features of pawn class, and pawn class can be possessed. Possessed means can be controlled. So that's why I'll come here and search for possess. Like the character, this class should be selected first, then you can search for possess, and you can tell him auto possess player and select this player 0. Now you can see if I play this time, we're starting from the character class, but we cannot see character, we cannot move around, we cannot look around. That's kind of problem. If I press F8, the good thing is we are starting from the character, so we need a camera from behind. For now we'll make it like, first we'll make it as a third person, then we'll make it as first person. So we need to add a camera from behind like this one, so that we can see the character, and then we need to add some functionality for moving around. So I'll stop this one and I'll come here, I'll select the static mesh, not the capsule component. We need to attach the camera to static mesh, and then I'll search for spring arm component, and then I'll select the spring arm component. Remember again, select the spring arm component, and then we can add a camera like this. So now you can see we have this thing, but there is this problem. It is just facing like this, which is not great because we want the camera from behind. So I'll just rotate this 90 degrees like this, and then we need to bring this a little bit up like this, and then I'll tell him to socket offset. They can bring this a little bit up like this and little like this, and then I'll rotate the camera a little bit. Now you can see if I come and play, now we have a beautiful wave from the behind of character. But there's this problem, I'll just rotate the camera a little more, and I'll change the spring arm, this target length a little bit, so we want from behind, and I'll bring this a little bit up like this. Now if I come here and play, now you can see we have a lot better view. You can see right here. That's great. For now we want this view, and then at the end of the video I'll show you how you can change this back to the first person character. Now the problem here is we cannot move around, we cannot look around, and all that stuff. That's kind of problem. Now let's talk about that, how we can control the character. Like we are controlling the character, but how we can move the character around. Down here, and if I come here to the blueprints, character and base character, I'll create a new folder that would be for input. So we're talking about input, how we can control the character. And Unreal Engine has this input system. If I come to input, and here we have input action and input mapping context. First I'll create this input mapping context, IMC, short for input mapping context, that we can understand this, and then I'll call this base character, just like this. We're giving things base character names because we'll have other things as well, like we'll have vehicles, helicopters, fighter jets, and then things. So all of them will have different input mapping context. That's why I'll give this a name base character. And then I can open this one. You can see it needs mapping, and if I come to mapping, you can see we need to select the input action. So we need to create an input action. I'll come right here and click. I'll come to input, and this time I'll create a new input action, IC. I'll tell him base character movement like this, and we are moving in 2 directions. You can see we can move forward and backward, and we can move right and left. That's why we need a 2-axis vector. So I'll come right here and select this axis 2D or vector 2D like this one, and then I can just save everything. This would be for movement, and we also need to create another one. Now I'll right click and come to input. That would be for looking around. So I'll give this a name like IA, and then I'll give it a name like base character look around like this. So this would be for looking around. I can open this one as well. This is also 2D, axis 2D, and then I'll save this one, and I can close this one. Now if I come to IMC base character, and here I can select this base character look around. Look around is, if I come here and search for mouse XY 2D axis, and I'll add another one that would be for this movement, and movement needs 4 keys. W for moving forward. You could just click in here and press W in keyboard like this, and we can add another one, and that would be S for moving backward. We can add another one, and that would be D for moving right, and we can add another one that would be A for moving left. W is all right. In S we need to negate the value. I'll come here and add a modifier. I'll tell him to negate right in here. So what does that mean? W will give us a positive value, like by default it will give us a positive value, but when we add this modifier, this will give us a negative value. So positive value will give us the ability to move forward, and a negative value will give us the ability to move backward. Then I'll come right in here to the D. In D key, I'll add another modifier. This time we will change this to world space. Character movement was giving a to D vector value, means it was giving us 2 values. So we are applying the default value to W and S, and we'll be applying the second value to D and A. So A needs 2 modifiers, one modifier to converting the value to world space, and the other modifier is to negate the value. Now if I save everything and I'll close this one, if I come back to the character class, still we don't have anything because we need to do some of the work in the event graph. So in here, first we'll come to begin play. This begin play is an event which would be called at the beginning of the game. So I'll come here and tell him to get controller. So from this controller, I'll tell him cast to player controller. We'll check if this is a player controller or not. I will talk about we can use interfaces instead of this casting, but that's what we'll talk about in upcoming lectures. For now it's fine. And then from this player controller, if it is valid, I'll tell him to get enhanced input. You can see get enhanced input local player subsystem. This is the one we need. And then from here I'll tell him to add mapping context like this, and I can connect this one right in here. We need to add a mapping context. Which mapping context? So we can select this one directly, or we can promote this to a variable. I'll promote this a variable and I'll call this IMC character like this. So variables are much better because we can change it anytime you want. So I'll come here and by default I'll select this IMC base character in this variable like that. Now that we assign this mapping context in here, I can remove these two for now. In future we can use that, and I can come down here and I'll search for something that's called IA base character movement. We want to do the work with movement first. So I'll come to movement. When the movement is triggered, we have this action value. We said this is a vector 2D, so it has 2 float values. If I come here and split this one, you can see it has this action X value, and this has this action Y value. So first I'll come right here and tell him add movement input. So we'll add movement input to the character, but which direction? Now we will tell him get actor forward vector. We need the forward vector, and we apply this vector to vector, and we will apply this X value right in here. And then I can just copy and paste this again in here, and this time we need the right vector. So I'll tell him get actor right vector like this, and I'll connect this to the vector, and I'll get the Y value right in here. Now we'll be able to move around. If I come here and play the game, and now you can see I can move forward, I can move backward, I can move right and left, which is kind of great, but we cannot look around yet, which is a problem. So I'll come back again here, and this time I'll come right here. I'll search for IA underscore look around. You can see base character look around. We'll select this one this time, and in here we can use add controller input first. So this is also an access to D value. So if I right click in here, you can see we have X and Y values, and for we need to use this X value, and then I'll come right in here and tell him add controller pitch input this time, and for pitch input we can use this Y value like this. So that's what we need. If I compile and save everything, and then if I come right in here, you can see I can look around as well, but I cannot look up and down, which is kind of problem yet. So if I come back right in here and I'll select the spring arm component, and I'll tell him use pawn control rotation like that. And now if I compile and save everything, now you can see I can look up and down, and I can look around, which is great. But up and down is kind of opposite, so we need to change this value. I'll come right here and I'll multiply this X value, Y value by -1. So we want the opposite of this value. Like the camera is not correct. Like when I move mouse forward, it looks down like that. I want the opposite of that. Now if I play, now you can see that's much better. I can look around, can look up and down, and I can move around. I can go whenever I want. Even I can go inside the water. I can come right in here, and there are these things you can see we have. You can see inside water is looking great as well in Unreal Engine. This is the benefits of using Unreal Engine's water. So this problem right here we have, that we don't have an animation or something, that comes with the problem with animation. So if I come right here and I'll tell him we want to use animation asset, and if I use an animation asset from the library we made, so if I come here and select, let's say, idle, now you can see we have this animation of idle. He's just standing in there. And if I compile and come back, now you can see the character is standing in idle mode, but if I'm going anywhere, he's still in that mode, which is not good. That's why we need animation blueprint to select different animations in different times. That's why we need animation blueprint, but we haven't created an animation blueprint yet. Now let's go and create an animation blueprint. So if I come down here in character, base character, I'll create a new folder that would be for animations. And in here I'll come right here and create animation blueprint. I'll give it a name. Well, first we need to select a skeletal. I think we need to select our twin blast skeleton like this one, and then I'll call this BP, ABP actually, because ABP stands for animation blueprint, and we can call this well, this is twin blast animations. And if I open this one, now I can do the same thing. If I come here and apply an animation to this output pose, we'll be having that animation. If I compile, now you can see we have that animation. If I come to animations right here, well, actually our animations are here in twin blast. If I come here to animations, rifle, and if I open these animations are not like the other animations, like they're not in place, they're actually moving around. The character is moving around. So these animations are not made for blend space things. Like blend space is an old method when you right click and create blend space and that thing, but these animations are not for blend space. These animations are actually for motion matching, and that's what we'll be using in this tutorial, motion matching. If I come here to plugin, by default we don't have motion matching, we have to come to plugins, and here I can search for motion. That's called trajectory. You can see right here we need to enable this motion trajectory, but this is experimental, so it's fine. We can use it, and then we need to restart Unreal Engine. After restarting the Unreal Engine, now we have that motion matching things. If I come right here to animations, and here I'll create a new folder for motion matching like this, and then if I right click in here, come to animations, now you can see here we have this motion matching, and here we need to create this post search schema first, and we'll select this twin blast skeletal mesh. I'll call this post search schema, and that's for twin blast like this. Well, here at the end. Now if I open this one, these are fine by default till now. I'll just save everything, and then I'll come back again to the same folder. This time I'll right click and come back to animations again, and I'll create this post search database, and we'll select this poster schema for that, and this is post search database for twin blast like this. And all we need here is to add our animations. So here you can see we have animations and we can add them. So I'll come here and search for rifle animations. We just need to add rifle animations for now. First I'll add this idle animation. That's the first we need to add, and then I'll come here and well, we need to add these jug animations. So first of all, we have this jug backward, we have jug forward. I just simply drag and drop, and you can add it like that. And then we have this jug backwards start, jug backwards stop, and we have jug forward start and jug forward stop like this. Then we have jug lift and jug lift start, jug lift start. We have jug right start and stop as well. And then, so these are the animations we have for now. If I select all of them like this, now you can see we have these animations, jug start and stop like this. You can see right here they're just moving around, and that's kind of great. These animations we have, and they're ready. If I save them and I'll close this one, I'll come back to animation blueprint. Well, we have animation blueprint right in here, and here I'll search for motion matching. Here we have motion matching. I'll bring this one, and we need to select the database. Well, we have this database in here, and then we need to add one more thing, and that's called pose history. So I'll search for pose history like this. This pose history needs this trajectory, and so we need to add that trajectory here to character blueprint. I'll come to character blueprint and search for motion trajectory. Well, why don't we have trajectory? Character trajectory actually. And so we can add this character trajectory, and then I will compile and save this thing. It means it uses experimental class, but we say okay, it's fine. And then I'll come right here in event graph. When I'll bring this up right here, I'll search for initialize animation, event blueprint initialize animation, and this owner pawn, I'll tell him cost to this BP base character. In upcoming lectures we'll talk about interfaces, so we'll not use this costing anymore because it's very costly. And then I'll just come here and promote this to variable, like this, and this is base character variable like that. And then down here in animation object, I'll come here and take this one, and I'll get this one, and I'll right click on this one. I'll tell him convert to validate. So if it is valid, then we can get character trajectory like this, and then we can promote this to a variable. I'll just promote this to variable and call this base character trajectory like that, only if the character is valid. Now if I compile and save, I'll come right here and I'll right click on this one, and I'll tell him we want to bind this to base character trajectory. You can see right here, I'll just bind it like this, and then I'll compile and save. I'll come back to base character blueprint, and in here I'll select this mesh, and in mesh I'll select ABP, that is called twin blast, and I'll select twin blast. Now you can see we have this. If I come back and save everything, now you can see we are in idle pose, which is great because we're not moving anywhere. And if I play the game, now you can see still, and now if I just move around, well, I think we still have some kind of problem. So one problem could be if I come right here and come to animations, in here rifle, I'll select these animations. There is something for this motion matching. If you come down here in rote motion, this enable rote motion should be enabled, and this force rote lock should be enabled. These are very important. So most of them are already enabled, but some of them are not. So I'll come here and select all of them like this, and then I'll right click on them, and then I'll come to asset actions, and I'll tell them edit selection in property matrix like that. And yes, we want that, and it will take a little time. So now you can see all of them are opened. Then I will come here and select them all, and now you can see some of them are enabled, some of them are not. So I'll come here to motion road, and first I'll disable this and enable it again, and I'll do the same for this one as well. So now all of the animations should be enabled. Now you can save everything because this is very important for this motion matching. Now if I come here, and hopefully that problem would be fixed, but now it's not yet fixed. Problem was I've removed all the animations back because the animation retargeter we have created right here, that has a little problem, this one. So that's why we will be using this animation retargeter from the Lyra project. So if I come here to heroes, and here we have this mannequin, and in mannequin we have this rig, and in rig we have this retargeter. If I open this retargeter, you can see we have this mannequin, IK mannequin is there, and in this target IK rig asset we need to select our IK twin blast. Now you can see everything is all right. If I test an animation, I'll just search for rifle, and now you can see I'll select this rifle jog forward. Now you can see they are jogging forward, but there's this problem still there. Like you can see, if this is not fit, you can just come right here, and then you need to change this blend to source to 1%, and same to this one as well. Now you can see that problem would be fixed. And then I'll come here and search for rifle. The animations we need is this rifle idle animation. We have this jog forward, we have jog start, stop, and well, this is for backward, and these are forward. You can see right here these are left, you can see right here, and these are right. For now I'll just export these animations, but we will export all of them in just a moment. Now I'll come here and tell him export animations, and then I'll come down here, animations, rifle. I removed the old animations, so like all animations we exported all of these animations, but for now I'll just select only these and then I'll export them. So if there's anything, I'll overwrite these new animations and then export. Now you can see these animations are exported. I can save all, and then I'll come back right here. There we have in Twin Blast. If I come now, actually in character blueprints, I'll come here to animations and motion matching. Here we have this pose search data. I'll open this one, and you can see I'll remove the old animations because we already removed them. And then I'll come here and search for rifle. In rifle we will select this idle, jog backward, start and stop, forward start and stop, left start and stop, right start and stop. I'll select all of them and then I'll drag and drop them right in here. Now if I select all of them, you can see they're looking pretty good. Now if I compile and save everything, and I'll check this animation blueprint is already here selected, I'll come back, and if I play this time, now you can see hopefully everything will work. Now look at this, that looks great, and we can move backward, right, left, everything is working great. So now the animations is working very well. That's a good news, but the problem is like if I'm looking up or down, our character is not looking up and down. That's a really huge problem. To fix that one, I'll come back here to animations, and in animations I'll right click, I'll create this animation offset in here, or you can use the legacy one in here that's called Anim Offset 1D, but I'll be using this Anim Offset, the new one, and then we'll select this Twin Blast skeletal mesh, and this is called Anim Offset. I'll give it a name like look up down, like that, and then I can open this one. Here we need to bring those Anim Offsets as well, but till now we don't have Anim Offsets which is looking up and down, so that's why I'll come back here to retargeter, and here I'll search for AO, and well, we need to find AO. We need to find rifle. Now we can find, this is crouch, these are idle, and well, we'll be using which of them. If I select these, now you can see these are normal ones. I'll come and select this one, yeah, these are the ones we need, not these. I'll only select this one, and this one. These are the three. I'll select them, and then I'll tell them to export, and in rifle with the same names I'll export them in there, and there we go. Now you can see we have them, and if I open them, look at this, what's going on in here? This looks just weird, and yeah, it looks, but if I come down here, you can see here we have this base pose animation, and base pose animation we need to select our own skeletal mesh, which is Twin Blast. I'll come here, no, not exactly Twin Blast, we need to select the Twin Blast rifle animation. So where can we find that one? So I'll come here and search for rifle. We need to select this animation, you can see right here, this idle. So I'll search for it's actually, yeah, MF, and then we have rifle, and then this idle. So we need to find which one is ours. If you say the skeletal mesh, that is Twin Blast. So I'll select this one. I can see that's correct. I'll save this one, and I'll just find this one. This is the animation, and then I'll come here, open the other one as well, and select the same one. Well, I'll just go there, I'll select this one, and then I'll come back, and then I'll apply that one right here, and let's open the last one as well. That's also same weird thing. I'll come here and select this one, and I'll apply this one right here. Now you can see that is fine as well. So now we have this. Now we need to create something that's Anim Offset. So if I come right here, you can see we have this Anim Offset, look up down, and I'll open this one, and we can add those animations in here. But before that, I'll come here to this horizontal, and I'll give this one a name like direction. This should come from -90 to +90, and then we have vertical. So this is 1D, so it means like we only have one direction, but in this case we have two directions, which is not what we want. We actually want one direction, so that's why I'll come here and I'll remove this one back, because we need 1D. I'll right click and I'll come to animations. Here in legacy you can see we have this Anim Offset 1D, and I'll select this twin blast skeletal mesh and I'll give it a name like Anim Offset, and this is look up down, and then I can open this one. In here you can see we only have one direction. That's what we want in this case, and this is horizontal. In here you can see I can call this direction, and this starts from -90 to +90, like that. Then we can add these three Anim Offsets. I'll search for IO, not IO, AO, but you can see we have a lot of them. The ones we need, or the ones we brought, like this. So this one should be right in the center. Now you can see this is the normal one. I'll tell him snap to grid so that we place them in correct place. I'll bring this one to the center like this, and this one I'll bring right here. So if I come right here, that looks up, and then we have this one. I'll bring that one there. Now you can see, well, not this one, I think this is the one we need to bring in there. This one I'll just, now you can see we're looking up. No, that's this one right here or something. Yeah, now you can see if it is -90 we're looking down, if it is like 0 we're looking forward, and if it's +90 we're looking up. That's what exactly what we want. I'll save everything. Now we need to add this to animation blueprint. I'll come here and find our animation blueprint. This is the animation blueprint we have. I'll open this one, and you can see there are a lot of things going on. I'll come to anim crop before these things, I mean like after these things, and between these output posts. I'll come right here and I'll search for Anim Offset like this. And so we need Anim Offset, or I can just simply come here and search for this look up down. I'll just bring this one right here, and then I'll connect this one right here and this one right there. Now you can see we need this direction value, and this direction value we can get from the character. So I'll come back to the character class, and in character class I need to create a new function, and we can call this function anim or aim direction, because we will be finding the aim direction. So I'll call this aim direction like this, and you can see inside this function I'll come here and tell him get control rotation. This one we need, and we also need to call get actor rotation like this, and then from here I'll just get the delta like this for BL connect this one, and then I can just split this one, split struct. We only need the y axis, so I'll promote this y to variable. I'll just tell him to promote to variable, and I can call this aim direction. Aim direction y, yeah, or maybe I can call this base character aim direction like this. Well, there is this little problem. There we go. Now you can see we can simply save this variable, but this variable should be replicated. So if I come here to replication, I'll tell him yes, this is replicated, because we'll be using, like, this is a multiplayer game, so this variable should be replicated to other users as well. So now you can see we have this variable and we have set this variable. That is kind of good. Now we need to call this function. I'll come right here and we can call this function after, like, when we do the look around. You can see we have this look around, and then I can call this function aim direction because we'll be updating this function in there. So now that problem is fixed, but there's still this problem, like if we're in the server everything will work fine, but if we're in the client then this will not be replicated. So that's why I'll come here and search for, like, switch has authority. If he has authority then he can directly do this thing, but if he has not, like if he doesn't has authority, then we can come here and create a custom event, and we can call this server like this, and we'll aim direction. So we're setting this on server. Now we'll come here in replicates. I'll tell him to run on server, and this is reliable. Now if I come here, I'll call this function on server if he does not have authority. So I'll come here. If he has not authority, we will call that is our aim direction like this, and then we'll continue to set the variable locally as well. Now you can see we're setting the variable, which is great. And then I can come back to our animation blueprint of Anim Blast. I will come to Anim Graph, and in here we have this base character. Well, actually we need to convert this to validate get like this, so we can check this if it is valid or not, because we'll not have any crash or any runtime errors. And then from this base character we need to get that variable. So I'll tell him to get base aim rotation. Actually we call that variable that's called base character aim direction. So I'll just come here and search for base character aim direction. This is the variable we have, and it is replicated. So then I can promote this to variable like locally, and I'll call this aim direction like that. And there we go. Now we can use this for the direction in a Anim graph. So I'll take this one and connect this one right in here. So hopefully everything will work fine. I'll compile and save everything. Now let's come back to our game and play the game. Now you can see, well, it seems like only the hands, or yeah, the head is also looking up and down, which is great. To make sure everything's working fine, I'll bring the camera a little closer. So let's make this target arm length to something like 200. So now it is much closer, and you can see now we are looking closer to the character, and you can see he's looking up and down. If you see the hands, he's looking up and down, and he's running around as well. Well, everything is great, and look at his clothes, that looks great as well. The next step is to bring the camera directly to the head. So that is something. Come and open this skeletal mesh like this one. I'll open this skeletal mesh and I'll find the head bone, and in head bone I can add a socket. Like we already have this one socket, and that's used for FX head. I don't know what's that used for, but we are using this for the camera, so I'll add another socket, and I'll call this head camera like that. And then I can place this in the correct place we want, like in the eyes. You can see right here, and we'll bring this a little forward because the eyes are right here, so the camera should be in the place of eyes of the character. And then I can save everything. I'll come back right here, and spring arm it's attached to the mesh. That's why I can attach this to pattern socket as well. And if I search for head, you can see we have head camera. I'll attach that to the head camera, and I'll change this everything to 0, and I'll make this one closer as well. I'll make this thing 0 as well, and I'll make this thing 0 as well. Now you can see the camera is in the place of head, and it just like turns with head. So now if I come here and play this time, now you can see we have a much better view, which is great when we are running around. That looks good, and running backward, but I think we need a little wide look. So first of all, I'll just come here and bring this a little backward and a little up, I think. So I'll just bring it a little backward. This is where you need to work on and make it as perfect as you want. Now you can see it's much better, I think. And then we need to change the field of view of the camera. It's 90 degrees. I'll just change this to something like 60, and let's check if that is a better value. Now if I come here, and now you can see we a little bit zoomed, and well, I think no, that's not a better value, because we should make this something like 120. I think that will work. Now if I come here and play. Now you can see we can see the hands very well, and there is this problem with this one finger. I think we will work on that and we'll fix that one. For now it's we'll leave it like that. Now you can see it is a lot better. So now we can see the body of the character, everything is looking great. But there are these weapons and they're just there, which is not looking good. So we need to remove the weapons, like we need to hide them. I'll come to character and in begin play, I'll come up in begin play and then I'll tell him hide bones by name. So we need to hide bone from this mesh. Yes, one is called weapon, I think, and the other one is called pistol, but still we'll check them. So weapon and pistol like this. So to make sure, I'll come here to twin blast character, and if I come here and search for weapon, you can see we have I think this is, yeah, we have multiple weapons in here. We have weapon R and weapon left, so we need to hide them. And do we have anything with the name of pistol? No, that was wrong actually. So I'll come back here and that's called weapon R, and we also need to hide weapon L or weapon left. Now hopefully if I come here and play the game, we will not see those weapons. Look at that, we don't see those weapons anymore because we don't want those weapons. We want to add our own weapons. So now we will talk about how we can add our own weapons, which is very important. Now I'll just stop the game again, and the next thing we want to do is you need to come to fob.com and search for this FPS weapon bundle, and you can add it to your library. And after you add this to the library, these are free, permanently free, so you can use them anytime. Then you can come to Epic Games in library, and then you will search for the same thing. You can find that and add it to project. But as you can see, it is not available for Unreal Engine 5, but it's fine. I'll search for our project name and I'll tell him show all the projects, and this is our project. I'll select that one and I'll select Unreal Engine 4.27 like that, and I'll tell him to add to project like that. It will take a little time. If you have not downloaded it, it will need to be downloaded, like it's around 200 MB, so it's not that much. Now you can see we will have them. If I come down, and there we go, we have these good weapons somewhere in here. Here we have FPS weapon bundle, and if I come to weapons, meshes, and you can see I'll just find which one is good. So I think we want to use this one. I think that looks good. Look at this, it is a good one. Or maybe you can select any other weapon like this one. This is also not too bad. And then we have some other weapons as well. Well, I'll select this one. So this is called SK key A7, something like that. So I'll come here and I'll open that folder. Key A7, this is the one. So I'll open that one. Now you can see this has this skeletal mesh and thing. This is what we will use. So I'll close these things. We don't need this thing anymore. The next step is to create a weapon class. But we'll talk about creating a weapon class in the next lecture. For now, we'll just give him a weapon, which will not work. Technically, it will not be able to shoot or something like that. But in the next lecture, we'll talk about how we can create a weapon, which can be a multiplayer weapon, and that he can just pick up the weapon and shoot or something like that. So in this video, it's enough. I'll come to the character class. In here, I'll open the skeletal mesh like this one. I'll open this one, simple. And then if I come here to hand, maybe you can see we have hand right and hand left. In this case, we want to attach the weapon to the right hand, and let's check if there is any socket for weapon or not. You can see there are some sockets like weapon R, but that's weapon R itself. So we will need to add some sockets to the right hand. I'll search for hand, and this is the right hand, and I'll right click on this one and I'll tell him to add socket, and this would be our weapon socket. So we can just call it weapon socket for now. and then I'll right click on this one to add a preview. So you can see here you can add a preview. I'll search for that something, I think 74, something like that. Yeah, you can see right here, this is the one. And now I'll just rotate this. So I'll select the weapon socket. If I come down and find our hand again, you can see there we go, this is the socket we have. And then I'll just rotate this like 180 degrees. If I enable snapping in here on rotation, then I can exactly snap on rotation 10 degrees like that. Why we cannot enable that? Actually it is enabled now. And then I'll select this one, not this, the socket, and then I can rotate this 180 degrees exactly like this. And I can bring this a little down as well. So I'll just bring this a little down like this, and then I'll bring this a little this side. I can see that is looking good. I'll just bring this a little up. Now that looks a lot better. If I come here to oh well, that's fine. Now if I compile and save, I'll come back here. You can see we don't have that weapon in here because that was just a preview. Now I can add a skeletal mesh. So I'll search for skeletal mesh. You can see we can add the skeletal mesh, which is attached to this character mesh. And I'll select this skeletal mesh right here. Well, this is the one. And then here I'll search for that 74, this weapon. If I come here, this is exactly the weapon we want. And then I can come here, let's come a little closer, and I'll attach this to the weapon socket like this. So where was it? This is the weapon socket. Now you can see that looks a lot better. And then, well, we need to rotate this a little bit like this, and I'll just disable this snapping and rotate this a little down so I can just see from top. And you can see that looks a lot better. I'll just need to rotate it a little bit this side, and then I can look from right. Well, right, I think that's fine as well in his both hands. And I can just front view also looks good. So now I think that's great. Now you can see weapon is just moving with his hands. If I compile and save, you can see he has weapon in here as well. And if I play the game, you can see he has weapon in his hand, and he can just move around with the weapon, and that is great. But there is that problem, like his hand is not attached to the weapon, which is a really huge problem. But we'll talk about that, how we can attach the other hand to the weapon as well. But for now, that's all right. Now you can see we can move with the weapon like this, and he's just standing there. You can just look up and down like that. Well, I'll just rotate this weapon a little up and a little this side, so that in most of the cases that is the main problem. Now you can see that is a lot better, but still we need to attach the left hand to the weapon in there, and when he's moving like that, there you go, the weapon is in his hand, and we'll be talking about how we can shoot. So the other thing you can do is to simply change this whole character, because we said we have multiple skins in here. If I select the skeletal mesh, you can see we have a lot of different skins. You can see we have this one, which is pretty cool. We have this one, that looks good as well. And then we have this one. This is like a complete robot or something like that. We have this one. Well, this doesn't look good. We have this other character as well. Look at this. It's also not too bad, but we don't want that one as well. And this is the one which is already selected. So I think, no, this is not the one already selected. It's the other one. So which character you like, you can select that one. But in my case, I will select this one for now. So if I come here, and then I'll just apply that right in here. And the cool thing is all the animations and everything will work on this fine as well. So now if I come and play, look at this. Now we have a different character, and we can just move around with him, and he has that weapon in his hand, and that looks great. In the next lecture we'll talk about how we can attach that weapon and thing to his left hand to the weapon and thing, which is really huge problem, but for now that's fine. So this is how we can create this first person looking character, shooter character for multiplayer games. So this character looks good, but I'm gonna change it. This one is good, this one is also good, not too bad. And if I come right here, this is the robot, you can see right here, and well, I think I'm gonna select that robot for now. So I'll select this robot, or maybe this character. This is much better. So this is Electro. I'll come right here and I'll select that Electro. For the skeletal mesh, I'll come here and tell him this Electro is our choice for now, and then I'll compile and save everything. I'll come to its skeletal mesh and check out the weapons, if the weapons are the same or we need to change or hide other weapons. If I come here, yeah, we have the same left and right weapons, which is great, and weapon socket is there as well. That's good as well. Now I'll close this again, and the weapons would be hidden. That's a great thing. So if I play the game now, you can see we have this character, and that looks good, and the weapon is in his hands. He can shoot around and something like that. But we need a multiplayer play to check if everything's working all right or not. To do so, now we need to create a game mode. I'll come right here into the blueprints and create a new folder for a game mode like this. This is a very basic game mode. I'll right click and create a new blueprint class, and I'll give it, this would be based on game mode base. I'll tell him this is game mode of our two-man shooter. So this is the name of our game, like that. And we also need a controller, so I'll come here in character. We can create controller, or we can create it outside, but I think it's going to be part of character because controllers are part of character. So I'll give it a name like controllers, and then I'll right click and create a new controller that is a player controller, and I'll give it a name like player controller PC, and this is called base character. So this is base character player controller. Now I'll come to game mode, and in game mode I'll come right here, player controller. I'll select this PC base character game mode, and in default pawn I'll select this BP base character, which is our own character, and I'll save everything. And then I can come back right here, and I can remove this anymore, because now if I come here and search for player start, I'll add one player start in here. I'll face it this way, and I can come here and add another player start right in here. So I'll come here and search for player start like this. I'll bring this one right here, and that would be facing that way. So now if I come and play the game, you can see we're starting from this player start. Well, as we can see, we don't have our character or something like that, because we need to select our game mode for this world. So I'll come to project settings, and in project settings here we have this maps and more, and I'll select our game mode in here, and then I can close this thing. I'll come here, and in world settings I also need to override this game mode as well. I'll come here and select this game mode shooter, like domain shooter, and then now if I play, you can see we're starting the game from one of those two player starters. Now you can see we can move around and everything is all right, and that looks great. But the thing is we need a multiplayer game, so I'll come here and select 2 players for now, and then I'll tell him as lesson server. So this is lesson server is the main mode of multiplayer in Unreal Engine. So if I play this time, you can see we have 2 windows. This starts from this way, and that starts from the other side. Now you can see that player can move around, and that looks great. But there is this problem with weapons, like weapon is hidden with the one character and it's not hidden in the other one. So this is a little bit of problem, and we will talk about that in the next lecture, because we need to call those functions like the weapon hiding functions from the server. That's really important, because when you call that in a client, it will not replicate back to the server. That's why multiplayer games are important. But we can do it now as well. If I come right in here, and then we are hiding these 2, So I'll come and bring this a little this side, and I'll tell him switch has authority. Well, how switch has authority. If he has authority, then he can just hide. If he does not have authority, then we'll create a custom event. So I'll come here and create a custom event. I'll tell him to hide bones like that, and then I'll tell him to run this in server like that, and I'll just connect this one right there. And if he does not have authority, we'll tell him hide bones. For now I'll make it like this, but this needs a lot more work. So now if I compile, if he has authority, then he will hide everything, and then if he does not have authority, then he will just execute this on a server, and we'll tell him to be reliable like that. I'll connect this one right here as well, because we need to do that locally as well. Now if I compile and save everything, and if I come right in here, now you can see if I come to the other character, you can see we cannot see his weapons. And if I press F8 and come back to this character, you can see we do not see any weapons for the other one as well. So this is how we can play. So to make it a little better, I'll just come here and tell him to a new editor like this. Now if I play, you can see both of them will become in side by side. So now I can just bring this side like this, and I'll bring this one right in here. Now I can just play with the one, and we can see that on the other screen. You can see I can just come here. What we see this again, the weapons in there, but we don't see the weapons in the other character. We'll see what's wrong with that. Now you can see the character can move around, and he can do whatever he wants. So this is how we can create a multiplayer first-person shooter, but it's not shooter yet because he cannot shoot around, which is not cool. We'll talk about that in the upcoming lectures. So this is all about this lecture. You can see if we find any way, we don't have any jumping functionality yet, so that we can jump from these things. We cannot do that yet, but we'll talk about that in upcoming lectures. So we need to find any door or something that we can go out of this place. Okay, so I'll see you in the next lecture of this series. If you're excited about learning these things, then I'll see you in the next lecture. Now let's play a little bit with the other character as well.